into focus as we, attack the season.
Welcome to the Publix Tailgate Show. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey, and Brian Sexton have all the news and information to get you ready for today's game. The Publix Tailgate Show is brought to you by Baptist Health, Farah and Farah, and by TIAA Bank. The Publix Tailgate Show starts right now.
Well, what a week it's been for this team and the city. Last week was win and get in. This week, survive and advance. The Jaguars aren't favored to make it to the Super Bowl, and last I checked, they weren't even favored at home against the Chargers this evening. But what you're supposed to do and what you do is up to you. You're not guaranteed the future, so why not spend the next 6 hours or so firmly entrenched in the present, soaking up these incredible feelings, and perhaps we can do it again next weekend. But first, the Los Angeles Chargers. Hello and welcome to the first round of the playoffs. And how nice does it feel to hear those words?
Living in the present's pretty good, Brian.
Yeah.
It feels great. I mean, it's only the fifth home playoff game in franchise history.
And only the second in 23 years.
Correct. So, overall, Jags 3-1 at home in the postseason. You're playing a team that you've beaten this year. So at least you're familiar with them, even though their makeup is going to be a lot different coming in today. Nobody believes that we're going to get the same kind of beat-up Charger team that they got in Week 3, but we'll happily take that W and root to a division title, and we'll happily take one tonight by any means necessary.
All right, tonight's game is brought to you by Daly's. Daly's Place. It's nicer here. The Jaguars and Chargers coming up about 8:15 from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. And I was talking with some folks this week, Mike, about this game and about the anticipation leading up to last week and then this week. And it's because the winning has been so scarce around here. People were almost surprised at this 5-game winning streak to end the season. And so they're savoring it and enjoying every moment of what these weeks have been like.
Why wouldn't you, right? I mean, it's been just an amazing set of circumstances to have your most hated rival collapsing as you are ascending, to have them in your backyard for an elimination game, to have them leading throughout the course of that game, and to win in the dramatic fashion in front of a crowd that Fred Taylor himself said was the best he's ever seen, including his playing days.
I will say the exact same thing. I was down on the field last week for the last 3 minutes, getting ready to do the post-game show. It was as good an environment and atmosphere as there has ever been here. Storylines converging all over the place, so let's get right to the big stories of this week, and we'll start with the head coach. Doug Peterson is an aggressive coach. He wrote it in his book, Fearless. He has lived it this year. The Jaguars, one of the most aggressive teams on fourth down. Now you're in the playoffs, so do you pull it back a little bit? You play it safer because every play has such great magnitude to it.
To win and continue game, it's a do or die, and you want to make sure that you're doing it not recklessly, but you're still taking all the information at hand and putting your team in good situations, right? But taking all the information and making sure that you're doing the right thing for your team. But there are going to be, there's probably going to be a little bit more of a gamble or a risk in certain situations. Just knowing that one possession here or there could determine the outcome of the game.
Well, the guy on the other sideline is known for this as well, Brandon Staley. And, out of necessity, in Week 18 last year, they went for it 6 times on fourth down. Justin Herbert was 6 for 6 on fourth down in converting and keeping him in that game versus the Raiders. A lot has changed since then. I think, Brian, as the season's gone on, as this team has gotten better, Doug Peterson hasn't had to rely on it quite as much, but I think the key is what he said. You don't want to be reckless, you don't want to be desperate, but you do want to be aggressive and maximize your possessions.
There will be moments tonight where he will take a chance and people go, what are you doing?
Hey, look, when they came out on that first fourth down last week and lined up like they were going to go for it, I thought they were.
I did too.
I really did. And by the way, the A gap on the left side was wide open, Trev, right?
Well, and Doug explained this week the reason they didn't go for it was because they knew they didn't need that many points to win. It wasn't going to be a high-scoring game, and figured the opportunity didn't fit at that moment in time. We'll see what he thinks tonight. He said in one of his press conferences this week, you're going to need more than 30 points to win, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. All right, the environment here should be epic, just like it was last week, and it's last week's performance by the fans that has Trevor Lawrence believing that these guys know what the playoffs are all about.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so, and I hope it's like that this weekend, and that's kind of what we expect. Our fans did a great job last weekend, but for us, I mean, that was a playoff game last week. I mean, you look at how everything ended up playing out. If we didn't win that game, we're not sitting here today. Everybody's packing up, going home. So, I mean, that was a playoff game for us. So it's the same mindset this week. It's just official now. It's the first round of the playoffs. But, I mean, for us, that was kind of like the first round of the playoffs because we knew we had to win to get in. So, I mean, I think that helps us kind of prepare for this week and the sense of urgency and, the whatever you want to call it, the hype around the game, all that, especially now that there's less than half the teams playing this weekend because the field just got whittled down.
And my feeling, Brian, is I think the nerves showed up a little bit last week, right?
Agree.
Like, it's great that they went through that trial by fire and they came out victorious on the other end, but I think now you're going to see a more free football team. Like, had the winning streak been snapped, they don't win the division, they don't end with a winning record, they miss out on the postseason entirely. There were a lot of things that were hanging over their heads potentially if they lose that football game. This one, I'm not saying it's house money. Everybody wants to win. It's a home game. I think they should win this football game. I certainly think they can win this football game, but if they don't, I think it has a different feeling. So I don't think the pressure is there. I think they've made the major accomplishment, and now let's go and roll it out there and see what we can do.
And let's not take away from the fact that when they walked out onto that field and saw the full stands and they heard the full roar of the crowd and realized all these people are here to see us win, there was nerves. There was a tightness to it. Now, I asked him in the locker room all week long if the nerves would be there this week, and they just kind of smiled and shook their head. They learned the lesson from it. Speaking of messages in the locker room, the regular season ends, the playoffs begin, and a playoff veteran, Christian Kirk, has been one of the steadiest guys in this locker room all season long. His approach, not surprisingly, is that the song remains the same.
Same thing that it's always been. It's always been about us, and that's been our theme all season long, and we're not going to change it. It's always going to be about us and our preparation, how we perform, and our focus, and being able to band together and just go out there and play our type of football. And so that's going to be the main thing, and it's not going to change on Saturday night.
Yeah, Doug Peterson has preached this, and his players have bought into it. And it's been evident, Brian. This is not a new theme here. They've been talking about this even during the losing streak. Look, we're doing the right things. We're putting ourselves in position. We're a play or two away. And they snapped that streak, and they've won most of their games since that point in time. But, Doug Peterson talked about it last week. Look, we understand the magnitude of the game may be bigger, but if you prepare differently, you're setting yourself up for failure. So, I think they've had a very business-like approach most of the year.
They're going to have a very strong approach on defense tonight, Mike. For the first time since they saw Dak Prescott on December the 18th, they see a big-time quarterback in Justin Herbert, and Herbert's a guy who can put the ball deep down the field. The Chargers are explosive, and Josh Allen, coming off maybe his best game of the season, knows they better be ready.
We're excited for this challenge. As a defense, man, we got to play sound football. We got to play as one. We got to play it on one string, because this team can put up some points. And so for us, man, we got to limit the drives. We got to get off the field when we need to get off the field, and keep giving the ball to the offense. If that's takeaways, that's whatever.
Yeah, even banged up and without Keenan Allen in Week 3, Justin Herbert threw for 297 yards in that football game. The Jags did an amazing job on Austin Eckler, though. I don't think you can count on him rushing for only 5 yards again tonight. So,
again.
Look, the good thing is they had such a cushion that they can afford to give some ground in some of these areas and still feel like they can come out on top.
And it has to be something that they're feeling better about. Without Mike Williams, the guy that stretches the field, they can perhaps put more attention on Austin Eckler in the backfield. He is their leading receiver with 107 receptions on the season. Now, on the offensive side, the Jaguars know exactly what to expect from this defense. Joey Bosa's back, and of course, Khalil Mack is still a force coming off the other side. And Evan Ingram says they're going to have their heads on a swivel.
I mean, they got two all-pros coming off the edge. And, they get upfield around those guys. And, you always have to keep your attention on them. And, they rally around those guys. So they got a great defense. They got Derwin James, too, who's a monster all over the field. You can put him anywhere. And a lot of guys rally around him. So they got a lot of talent over there. And, they got a chip on their shoulder, too, because we went earlier in the season. Obviously, we played them. And they're going to come and get their lick back for sure.
Well, it's difficult when you lose one of your key guys in game like they did with Bosa there, but the Jaguars' offensive line and attendant blockers just shut down that pass rush. 2 quarterback hits, no sacks in the game. They barely got within breathing distance of Trevor Lawrence. A repeat tonight would go a long way towards the Jaguars' victory, but I don't think you can count on that with Bosa healthy.
No, and Bosa talked this week about getting back into game shape over the last 2 weeks because he returned in Week 17. Now, he left the game in Denver last week, so we'll see where he's at. But when Bosa's on, we're watching his brother in the studio here during the breaks, and those two, Bosas, are outstanding pass rushers. All right, here we go. Are you ready?
I am.
It's time for the E to the T.
Let's
It
do
is
it.
time for my favorite segment in the first hour of this show and the most energetic 4 minutes and 8 seconds of Jacksonville radio that you will enjoy, well, hopefully, in the pregame show. Maybe something during the game might match it. It did last week. Here's E.T. Come on, somebody.
Good morning, AFC South Division champions. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to the inaugural Come On Somebody Playoffs edition.
Hell yeah! What's that?
You heard me right. Our Jacksonville Jaguars are in the playoffs, and we in prime time.
Playoffs?
Yeah. Playoffs.
Don't talk about playoffs.
Oh, we definitely talking playoffs.
You kidding me?
No.
Playoffs?
Yeah.
I just hope we can win a game.
You and me both. And it starts tonight against the Los Angeles Broken Chargers. But I've already said way too much. The city is electric right now. Y'all know how the game go. Come on, somebody!
Oh, my God. Get ready, Henderson. Get ready. The slap finna happen. We finna slap, tap.
Oh, you best believe, Big John? Yeah, he gonna set the tone. And shout out Leon Searcy for setting the tone last week. Duval. Come on, somebody.
Come on, somebody. Trevor tossing dimes. Big Leon Searcy busting rhymes.
It was always the Jags.
Trayvon Walker gonna be a stalker. Let me tell you, my man ETN gonna be a baller. Shot caller.
20-inch blades on the Impala.
Duval.
Hey there, this is Greg from 122 going to the game Saturday to watch the Jags put the hurt on Herbert. Duval.
AT, it's Stone Cold. Not Mr. Give Me a Hell Yeah himself.
I'm going to get to the point. I don't care if it's Justin Herbert.
What?
Just frozen sherbert. What? Or Bert and Ernie. We're going to smack the hell out of the San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles. And that's the bottom line. Ooh-oh.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. This is Trent Baalke.
Oh, snap. Mr. Bulky Masterclass checking in. Come on, somebody.
I said it before and I'll say it again. It was always the Jags.
It was always the Jags.
Duval. What is up, E? This your boy, Steve-O.
What is up? What's on your mind, Steve-O?
All I got to say is, Duval. Well, you know something, E.T. All of the Jaguar maniacs are going to come together Saturday night at TIAA Bank Field, and we're going to wreak havoc on those Los Angeles Chargers. Duval! And that's the bottom line, brother.
Playoffs? We talking about playoffs? Come on, somebody. Come on, Jag fans. Pack out the bank. We got the Chargers coming in town. Let's do business. Duval!
We line up across from them lightning bugs on Saturday night. We're going to punch them in the mouth and remind the world that we are Jaguars. Duval!
As I stated before, the city is electric and my phone lines were buzzing. I got to wrap it up and get to the Bud Zone. Y'all be safe, bundle up, but more importantly, Let's go get this dub. Come on, somebody.
Well, he certainly got his thumb on the pulse of Jacksonville. I think he could have done that in the grocery aisle at Publix this week with the way that people were wound up for this game.
I love the San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles. We got this week the Las Vegas Chargers, many San Diego Charger references. So, we may be slow geographically, but we're ready to play some football today.
And I hope the Jaguars are as well. We're getting you ready for the kickoff, which comes at 8:15 Eastern time this evening. We've got a lot ahead, including...
and we got that hat and that shirt, all the guys, we saw Cam, we saw Ben Barch in here celebrating, so it's good to see those guys, kind of come with the team, and it was good to have everybody involved.
That's 5-time Pro Bowl offensive lineman Brandon Sheriff, and he'll share his thoughts in this week's Baptist Health Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute player feature. Plus, CBS Sports senior writer Pete Prisco. The Chargers and Jaguars less than 3 hours away. You're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. S-M-A-R-T. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit RideSmartFlorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
The original pizza logs are a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars and available at the stadium on game day. You'll find those delicious gourmet pizza egg rolls at concession stands, clubs, and suites. For all their products, be sure to check out pizzalogs.com and have them delivered right to your home. That's pizzalogs.com.
Put down the burger, put down the dog. Pick up the original pizza log. There's only one. The original pizza log. Yeah.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
Since 1916, Duval Motor Company is here to keep you and your vehicle off the sidelines. Their all-star lineup of dealerships provides superior sales, maintenance, and repairs for every make and model with Ford, Honda, Acura, Subaru, Chevrolet, and everything in between. At every Duval location across North Florida, Duval Motor Company always puts service first. In-store, online, or at your front door. Get service first with DuvalMotorCompany.com.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
And the Publix Tailgate Show rolls along here. Hour number one, Brian Sexton along with Mike Dempsey, the Jaguars and Chargers in the AFC wild card coming your way. Kickoff at 8:15 from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. And Mike, every week you corral Pete Prisco, the one-time Jacksonville resident who now calls South Florida home, but still very focused on this football team.
He's quicker than he looks, but I do manage to rein him in every week, Brian. And this week, Obviously, all these playoff games, by the way, in the opening weekend are rematches of games at least played once during the regular season, including the Jags and the Chargers. I asked Pete if you could draw anything from that first matchup, or being the fact that it was week 3, was that just simply too long ago?
No, Mike, I think that's too long ago. I really do. And when you go back and look at that game, Herbert was banged up. They didn't have Keenan Allen, and I think that made the offense much different. So, no, I don't think you can take. I mean, James Robinson was one of the key players in that game. He's not even on the team anymore. So I do not think you can take anything from that game.
Well, you're right about that. James Robinson carried it 17 times for 100 yards that day, had the key fourth down run of 50 for a touchdown. Travis Etienne had 13 carries in the game. He's gone over 20 3 times this year, Pete. I feel like this is a heavy workload Travis Etienne game tonight. Do you agree?
Yes, I do, Mike. I think you have to establish the run. First and foremost, you want to take away those edge rushers and their ability to just pin their ears and go back, and pin their ears back and go. So I think you have to run the football. And the Chargers, no matter what they do over the course of their recent history, they can't stop the run. They sign new defensive linemen, they draft linebackers, they change guys in and out of the lineup, and they still can't stop the run. So take advantage of that. Use Travis Etienne, run the football, and then take those shots down the field off the play action, because I think that first, if you allow those guys to just go up the field and attack you, that's going to be a problem for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, and for Trevor, he distributed the ball very nicely the first time against Los Angeles, touchdowns each to Zay Jones, Marvin Jones, and Christian Kirk in that game. Pete, as you look at where Trevor is right now, and we understand the stats that Justin Herbert has put up, and he's a year more along in his career in the National Football League. How do you feel like these guys compare head-to-head, Lawrence and Herbert?
They're similar. I really do. I think when you watch them play, their styles are a little similar. I think maybe Trevor runs a little bit more, which gives him a little bit of an edge from that standpoint. But I think when you watch them play, they are two quarterbacks, big physical guys who can make all the throws, powerful arms. I would say Herbert's a little further along because he's had the veteran receivers around him. He didn't have to learn 2 new systems in 2 years, and so I think that gives him a big advantage. So I think he's a little further along, but this is an opportunity for Trevor to go show people, hey, don't rank him ahead of me. I'm ready to go show you I can beat him in the postseason and make some big plays too.
When you look at what the Jaguars defense faces tonight, Pete, they did not have to play against Keenan Allen the first time around. Austin Eckler only carried it 4 times in that game for a total of 5 yards. Jags' run defense was playing very well at that point in the year, and Herbert had bad ribs. And these are not excuses. They're just facts, and things are different this time around. How big of a test, or I guess comparing it to recent tests like the Dallas Cowboys and other, is this as tough an offense to face for the Jags as they've faced in a while?
I think it is, Mike. I really do. I think when you look at the way Herbert can distribute the ball, the way Eckler can catch the ball out of the backfield, he's caught over 100. He's been really good in that role. They can screen you. They can get you going one way and over-pursue them, which Jacksonville has a tendency to do, and throw behind it. And so I do think this is the biggest challenge for this defense. And it's going to take, eye discipline, but it's going to take winning the line of scrimmage. And it's not a great offensive line, and they've had some injuries up there. And I think you can handle this group if you can play like you did a week ago and get it up the field. Josh Allen had a great game last week. Trayvon Walker flashed big time, really for the first time in a long time. And I think those two guys have to play big in this one.
Yeah, Rayshawn Jenkins has been playing out of his mind of late, Pete. But if you're going to pick one player on that side of the ball, on the defensive side for the Jaguars, who needs to have a bbig game, maybe it is Rayshawn. Who is that one player that leaps to mind for you?
Well, I think it has to be not just one. I think it has to be the group of corners because if you look at this group, they can hit you with the big play, and I think the matchup inside, if they get Keenan Allen inside in some slot situations, that could be a problem for Jacksonville. That make Trey Herndon big. But I also think, Trayvon Walker, the growth there, this could be, one of those national stage coming out parties for him. I thought he was really good last week. Wasn't great, but was really good, looked much better than he had, I think, and was disruptive in the run game, got some pressures. This could be it. And he might be working against another rookie over there in failure. So I think he has an opportunity, a former teammate of his, by the way, he has an opportunity to get up the field and make some plays.
All right, I've seen your prediction in print, Pete. Make it official. How do you see this one going tonight?
Yeah, I think Jacksonville wins a shootout. I think you're going to see a lot of points. I think this is a showcase event for both quarterbacks, and I don't think the two defenses are going to have much of an impact on either one, provided the offensive lines play well, and I think they will. So I think up and down the field, last one to score will be Jacksonville. They will advance to the next round.
Well, I know Pete makes the point about Trevor Lawrence, and I think this will be looked at as a comparison between he and Justin Herbert. I think Trevor Lawrence probably cares less about that at this point. And for that matter, so does Justin Herbert.
Without a doubt.
First time in the postseason for Herbert after 3 statistically brilliant seasons. We'll take our quarterback playing less than the other guy if it means a win.
What a dramatic matchup. No wonder that it's on Saturday night, is to have 2 young quarterbacks, big, strong, the future of the AFC on Saturday Night Football, each in their debut.
No doubt.
Does it get any better than that?
Look, these are 2 guys I think are going to be compared against each other for many, many years to come, so why not get it started tonight?
All right, Mike, thanks for the conversation with Pete Prisco. Time now for our Baptist Health and JOI Player Feature. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute is the official sports medicine provider of the Jaguars. Well, Brandon Sheriff is the Jaguars' most accomplished offensive lineman since Tony Baselli. The 5-time Pro Bowl free agent signed in Jacksonville and got to work in the offensive line room right away. He's been the glue for a line that has started a rookie at center, a backup left guard since week 5, now a backup left tackle since week 15, and they've played at a very high level despite the interruptions. Now it's the first playoff game for 3 of those 5, but Sheriff isn't worried about tonight. He's seen this group and believes that the pressure of the postseason will not be a problem.
No, I don't think so. We're really young, but you could count that game that we played last week a playoff game. So, it's just I wouldn't say you have to think of it as a playoff game. Just think of think of it as another game. We got here doing the right things, so continue to do the right things and just continue to work your tail off.
The playoffs seem like a reward for all the hard work and sacrifice. Guys that play hurt, that have to work extra to get themselves ready to go. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, absolutely. You see guys fighting through injuries all over here, so it was fun to see, when we got that hat and that shirt, all the guys, we saw Cam, we saw Ben Barchin here celebrating, so it's good to see those guys, kind of come with the team, and it was good to have everybody involved.
As a free agent, does it validate your decision from last spring?
Oh, yeah. I'm so happy I'm here. I've made some great relationships, in the, 10 months I've been here, so, I'm super excited to be here.
None of your teammates are around here, so give a grade for the offensive line. He's had a really good season. Tell me how this group, 26 sacks allowed. You guys have been able to run the ball lately. Give me a sense of how this offensive line has gelled.
I think we've done a great job. I think it all comes down to, Phil and Todd, in the meeting room, just Phil explaining, what to do here, what to do there, and kind of letting us play a little free. And he says, while you're playing, you may see some things. So if you want to do it that way, go ahead and do it that way. Just this is what I would like to see. So and he's done a great job at bringing all the guys together and just playing as one. So it's been one of the favorite groups I've ever played with before.
A lot of people who are listening to this saw the reaction on your face at that dinner where you got your watch from Trevor.
Oh, yeah.
Can you give me a sense as an offensive lineman what it means to get that from your quarterback and the relationship you guys have developed?
Yeah, Trevor, he's a great quarterback, and I'm very thankful that he's our quarterback, and we're going to do everything that we possibly can up front to keep him clean, to let him do what he does. And you guys, if we do our job, you've seen him do his job, and it's incredible. So for him to do that for us, he didn't have to, but it meant a lot for all those guys. So I know a lot of those guys are pretty stoked.
And a lot of those guys have played. You guys have had to deal with changes at guard and at tackle on the other side of the line. That isn't easy to do. Why were you guys able to be so cohesive despite changes in the offensive line this year?
I think it's Phil and Todd, explaining, here's the deal, here's what we're going to do, and he runs scenarios like if he goes down, he's in. So Phil, they do a good job at rotating during reps, so you build that cohesiveness, with one another. So, Tyler Shatley's done a great job, Walker's done a great job, so it's fun to see all of us gel like that, and I thought we had a pretty good year, and we're going to keep it rolling.
That was as good a scene as I've seen here in 28 years. What did you think of it? Because you come from Washington where they have some pretty good fans, and how does it help you guys?
Yeah. Oh, from Iowa. Oh, yeah. Walking out there and just seeing it completely packed was absolutely incredible. And we know what it's going to be like this weekend. So, that fires a lot of guys up, and we're going to keep it rolling.
During the middle of the interview, you heard me say, oh, yeah, he's had a nice season. I didn't say who it was. It was Juwan Taylor. And he pointed right at him and said, you didn't mention him. And I had someone tell me this week that Brandon Sheriff is the single greatest reason why Juwan Taylor has been able to settle down and settle in and just do his job this year. To have a guy like that, a 5-time Pro Bowler lined up next to you, Juwan's been able to just focus and dial in on his game. So the money that they gave, $18 million a year, it is a lot of money for a guard. But it appears that it paid off in the development of this offensive line.
Right, on both sides right there. With a veteran who can just go about his business and some young guys that he's bringing along. There is that. Look, I think you pay money in free agency, Brian, to get good players. If you can get the bonus of having a guy who can have a residual effect on the players around him, that's even better.
And it's worked for the Jaguars in a number of different cases this year with respect to free agency. All right, much more ahead here in hour number 1 of the Jaguars Publix Tailgate show, including...
he wants to be great. And you could see, there was the frustrations early on because he put so much pressure on himself. But that's what the great ones do.
Quarterbacks coach Mike McCoy talks about Trevor Lawrence. Plus, we have Tony Baselli and Jeff Loggam coming up in 15 minutes with First Rounds on Us. You're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
What makes that famous call?
Dinner's ready.
Even better? It's cooking a great meal with natural gas, enjoying faster cooking times and precise temperature control. And now getting a valuable cash rebate up to $300 when you install an energy-efficient natural gas range or cooktop.
Anyone want seconds?
When you show your home love with natural gas, it loves you right back. To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
Storm season is here, and JEA is doing everything possible to prepare. We've invested millions in hardening our electric, water, and sewer systems to make them more resistant to extreme weather. By updating your contact information and signing up for alerts, you'll also be better prepared if a storm hits. And in the event we need to restore your power, we can keep you up to date on our efforts and get you back to normal sooner. Update your contact info today at JEA.com. JEA, building a more prepared community.
The Land Rover Defender story began with the simple thought of creating an exceptionally capable off-road vehicle, becoming the go-anywhere, do-anything all-terrain machine. Today, there's a new Land Rover Defender, the toughest and most advanced Land Rover vehicle ever. From the beginning, Land Rover knew the new Defender was capable of great things. Motor Trend's 2021 SUV of the Year is just the latest example. Test drive the new Land Rover Defender today at Land Rover Jacksonville on Atlantic Boulevard, or go to LandRoverJacksonville.com. Land Rover, above and beyond.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Hey Jags fans, Brian Sexton for Dreamfinders Homes. In a complex housing market, do decisions on the biggest purchase of your life stress you out? At Dreamfinders Homes, they can build the home of your dreams in one of their many communities in Northeast Florida. With a mortgage company in-house, they're here to assist you throughout the entire process. Choose from their wide range of single-family homes or townhomes from the 300,000s. Dreamfinders Homes specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. Call 904-590-2545 or visit dreamfindershomes.com. Jaguars Game Day Radio is brought to you by VyStar Credit Union, who reminds you to do good and bank better. The Publix Tailgate Show continues. Brian and Mike with you here. The Chargers and Jaguars coming up at about 8:15 Eastern Time. And tonight's game is sponsored by Daly's. And Daly's Place, it's nicer here. Time now for our conversation and commentary with Rick Ballou.
Football, Jaguars, Chargers, this is what it's all about. And these two quarterbacks, they were selected for one reason, to turn around the franchise. So tonight, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, an opportunity in their first ever playoff game to grab a victory and move on to the divisional round. They are 2 of the 10 quarterbacks who started in each and every game this year for their teams. It's interesting, 8 of those 10 are in the playoffs. 5th home game right here in Duval. Jacksonville 3-1 lifetime. That's good news. 38-10 as well back in week 3, a victory over LA. That's good news. Although the message this week from Doug Peterson and really everyone else has been, don't read those press clippings. These are 2 totally different teams if you go back to what happened there on week 3. Obviously, LA was really beaten up, and that becomes a key again going into tonight. We heard yesterday that, with Mike Williams in his back, not being able to go for LA, in my opinion, this changes the entire complexion of this game. Brandon Staley, by the way, really under fire for playing Mike Williams and playing his players deep into that game. It's interesting. Around here, a couple of weeks ago, Doug Peterson, a very similar situation. He elected to play his guys. The media and the fans were in full support of his decision. Tonight, it's on the 23-year-old. Trevor Lawrence, 1 touchdown pass in his last 3. It's going to take 30-plus to win this game, and Lawrence is going to have to play a major role in it. I think he gets the job done. Give me the Jaguars, 34-31.
There's a lot of confidence in the young quarterback, and for good reason. The way that he's played over the second half of the season, Doug Peterson gets credit, Press Taylor gets credit, Jim Bob Cooter, the passing game coordinator, gets credit. A guy who quietly has just gone about his job as former Chargers head coach and longtime NFL offensive coach, Mike McCoy, who, if people don't know, was part of the Packers when Doug Peterson was there. So these guys go way, way back. But when you start talking about the development, to have that calm, cool, collected voice to talk to on the sideline has made a big difference for the quarterback.
He's a guy who's worked with Peyton Manning as well. I mean, look, they put a brain trust around Trevor Lawrence, and it just wasn't one guy. And that's the beauty of this, Brian. In today's NFL, I feel like the hot guys who become the next head coaching candidates are the offensive coordinators. So to have an offensive-minded head coach where everything starts and ends and kind of funnels down from Doug Peterson, and these guys try to implement Doug's vision, but they've been there and done that, and they've got their own chops. It's great that you have this deep of a staff around Trevor Lawrence that he can rely on.
And a guy with the experience to have played in postseason, to have coached in postseason, and even in a Super Bowl. This is a guy who gets it, and he's not worried about his team and the magnitude of their first, for many of them, playoff game.
Well, you got to go out and just play the game. You can't. I mean, what a great atmosphere we had the other night. That was a playoff atmosphere, and it's going to carry over to this week. I think playing in that game the other night is going to help us this weekend. But we got to just put everything behind us, and it's one play at a time and one week at a time now. So we're ready to go.
Especially over the last 5 weeks, nothing has seemed too big for this team. Have you noticed that also?
Well, I think it starts with the message from Coach. At a certain point in the season, he made a comment to the football team about the direction. Didn't matter what our record was, but it was the direction we were going to head. Where were we going, from week to week moving forward? And I think everyone bought into that message weeks ago, and we just took it 1 week at a time and tried to improve and put ourselves in a position to play in a game like we did against Tennessee the other night. And, when you work the way we have all season long, the type of players we have, the leadership at the top of our organization, it trickles down, and guys just kept working their tails off, so this is something they all deserve.
As a guy connected to quarterbacks, you can appreciate that NBC really wanted this game on Saturday night with 2 of the best young quarterbacks in the AFC.
Well, it's great. I'm just so happy for Trevor and what he's done this year, and he's gotten better every week, and there's always the ups and downs of every season. It doesn't matter when it is, but the first year in a system, there's things that come up. So maybe some looks that he hasn't seen, and you just keep on plugging away. And he just kept on learning and getting better and better every week. And then it's a game with 2 great quarterbacks, and knowing a lot of people that were in LA at one point in time and the development. So it's going to be fun to watch.
Everyone wants to point to a moment where things turned for Trevor. Do you have that moment, or did you just see it growing steadily?
No, I think, we all had all the confidence in the world from day one here. And you could see what he did, in the offseason program and how he improved come training camp. And then each week during the season, like I mentioned earlier, it's just learning. It's learning, not only the system, but playing with new teammates. We brought a number of new players in. So it's all of us gelling together. And I don't think there's any one play. He always flashed. There's always you always see the talent, whether it's out here in practice, whether it's individual period, team period, through preseason, and, early on during the season, some of the wow plays that he makes and his teammates make together. So I wouldn't say it's just one play. I think it's just the weekly improvements you see him make. That's the big thing.
When you talk about quarterbacks, they went to arm strength, leadership, intellect, pocket presence. Is there a word that you use when asked about Trevor?
No, I don't think there's not one word. I just think, the reason he's successful is because of work ethic. And I think it's not just him, but I think, I've got a great quarterback room and the way they work together, and then the coaching staff and the game plans that everyone's put together, his teammates. So, I think that's what Trevor's going to say also. He's going to look at his teammates and the plans that have been put in, and there's 10 other guys in the field that have to help him. But I think it really just comes down to the type of person he is, and he wants to be great. And you could see, there was the frustrations early on because he put so much pressure on himself. But that's what the great ones do. He's very talented, and you're starting to see, for a long time now this season, you've seen what he can do. So none of this surprises me at all, the success he's had.
Do you have to have a conversation about the way that the playoffs tick up a notch in intensity, or you think everyone just intrinsically understands that?
Well, you're funny. You have that conversation way back when, in training camp, and especially it's more with the younger the rookies that first come in. You say, hey, listen, the first week of the preseason, there's a certain speed, and each week it kind of amps up, and then you get into the opening weekend of the season, and it just jumps up a number, and then as you go during the season, the longer you go and the closer you're getting in. And then like the game we had the other night, that's a playoff atmosphere because we're playing to get in. And so the tempo that picks up, and just the energy, the excitement. And then you get into the wild card weekend, and as you keep going, you're playing. It's one game at a time now. It's all or nothing. So everybody's amped up. Everyone's playing for the same thing. Everyone has the same goal. So we're on to the next step.
I was standing next to someone who was looking at you and Trevor on TV. He came off the field after something that frustrated him, and the person said, I wonder what he's saying. What do you say to a quarterback when they come off the field during the game, when they're particularly frustrated or just had a bad moment?
Well, I've been there, done that. I played quarterback for a long time, not at this level, but through college, the CFL, and certain things, and I've thrown plenty of interceptions, missed receivers wide open. You do certain things, and things happen. It's easy sitting on the sideline watching the game and saying he should do this and that, but it's the one thing, and the message has been clear from day one. Like I've always told him, hey, listen, the mistake's on me. You've got to go out there and play with the utmost confidence. Every single play, every drive of a game, regardless of what the score is. And I think he's shown that all year long. It didn't matter. That's the great thing about our football team. We just keep rolling, keep going, learn from mistakes, and keep going. As long as there's time left on the clock, we're trying to improve and try to win a football game. And so I understand, there's going to be some mistakes. I've just got to keep them in the flow of the game and keep them going. And hey, learn from it, because when something happens in a game, whether it's a coverage or a pressure or something that they've tried to expose us on, if it worked, it's probably going to come back again, and we're going to see it again. So, hey, the next time this comes up, hey, this is what we should do.
So let's wrap it up with this. What's Wild Card Week like for a football team, for a coaching staff? Is it just the same as Week 18 of the regular season?
Well, you keep preparing. And as coaches, we live in the facility, during the season, and it's the same this week. It's just you're just trying to put the best plan together like you do every other week. But the energy, the excitement has definitely picked up. The atmosphere, we can't thank our fans enough for the environment last week and the energy they brought to our football team. But I think the one thing is, one of the things I said to Trevor after the game is, going into the playoffs is a reward for all the hard work. From the very first day we sat down and started talking about what we were doing moving forward, it's a reward, because that's the goal. You got to get in the tournament. That's the most important thing. You always say you want to win your division, and we did that. So that was a great thing, a big accomplishment for this organization, for our football team. But now it's like, hey, let's find a way to win this one. It's trying to get 1-0 this week and move on.
Mike, Doug Peterson has a long list of things he did right this year, but in all the opportunity I had to talk to Mike McCoy this year, I hope people realize that may be one of the top 2 or 3 decisions he made. You had to get the quarterback up and running. He brought in a guy who's so calm, who's so even-keeled, who's been there and done that. When I listen to him, it's easy to watch Trevor and understand why he's made progress.
I think there are a lot of guys, and all those guys kind of around Trevor have that kind of mentality, that calm demeanor about them, right? I mean, you're right, Brian. The most important thing, even more important in the long term than the wins and losses this year, was the development in the second year of your quarterback. Because most quarterbacks who turn out to be great, even if they struggle year one, take a big leap in year two, and they were able to put him in a position where he could take that knowledge in, deal with the setbacks, and now emerge as a guy that has made that big leap, and even bigger things are going to be expected from him.
Someday when the book is written about year one with Doug Peterson, but year two of Trevor, and we learn everything he had to overcome from the previous era, I think Mike McCoy will be one of those guys that will get a lot of credit for getting this quarterback up and running. Well, PRI Productions is the official event production company of the Jaguars, and they have everything you need to bring your next idea to life. So visit our friends at PRIProductions.com. Chargers and Jaguars kick off at 8:15 in the AFC wildcard. You're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Reconnect with the best version of you at Amara Med Spa, Northeast Florida's premier luxury medical spa, located in Ponte Vedra, Town Center, Avondale, St. Augustine, and Fernandina. With the most advanced injectors, estheticians, and technology, Amara Med Spa is redefining beauty, offering services such as Botox and filler, M-Sculpt Neo, painless laser hair removal, and advanced skincare treatments. Visit theamaramedspa.com and book a complimentary consultation today.
Jags fans, this is Shaquille Griffin. I'm going to share some of my secrets for competing in the NFL. First, the field is no place for hunger. Growing up, I got big and strong eating boiled peanuts. Today, our team is serious about fueling our bodies, and that means popping open some protein-packed peanuts from Luray's Peanuts. It's the same boiled peanut flavor I used to love eating as a kid, but with superfood nutrition that lets me tear it up on the field. Pick Luray's boiled peanuts at all Jaguar home games, or pick up a few bags at the grocery store and fuel up at home.
Yingling Traditional Lager, the beer for drinkers who know how to tap into their inner eagle and spread their wings. So prepare yourself for takeoff and let your night take flight. Liftoff. When your lips meet that cold, crisp amber lager, there's no looking back. So fly over the radar. Tonight's about the lager, and this lager is all about soaring higher. Yingling Traditional Lager. Spread your wings. DJ Yingling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please drink responsibly.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
Welcome back to the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Brian Sexton, Mike Dempsey, ahead of kickoff at 8:15 this evening, wrapping up the first hour of the Publix Tailgate Show. And tonight's game, by the way, is sponsored by Dailies. Dailies, as you know, it's nicer there. Now time for First Rounds on Us. Hall of Famer Tony Baselli and first-round pick of the New York Jets in 1989, Jeff Lageman. Join us now for First Round on Us, brought to you by UF Health, delivering compassionate care and world-class outcomes. That's our game plan. And first of all, guys, hello. How are you?
Fantastic. And
I'm energized.
Nice and warm, too, as a matter of fact. Tony had to go steal a jacket from the equipment room.
Yeah.
He didn't come here with the proper attire.
No, I did not. I thought all the food I ate last night would have put some extra layers on me, but it's not enough, so I had to go get I had to steal a jacket from George.
Well, let me throw a question at you. Finding solutions this week is Austin Eckler, and a guy who didn't have a big impact back in week 3, but with the absence of Mike Williams this evening, he's going to get an opportunity to do that tonight. How do the Jaguars defend number 30 for the Chargers?
Well, that's a great question, and I don't think there's an easy answer, Brian. I think that Foye Oluokun's going to have to play really well, Chad Muma, Devin Lloyd, because they're going to have to cover a guy who had 107 receptions this year, which was second in league history. I mean, that's an amazing number. If the Jaguars don't find a way to stop him in the running game, you got a chance in the passing game. And they did that in the last meeting. He had, I think, 4 carries for 5 yards, Tony. And that's, if you can keep him to that, you got a chance.
Well, they're not keeping the 5-4. They're not doing that. But you have to limit. I think what they need to do, Brian, with Eckler in this offense is win in the red zone. I think that's going to be the key. Force field goals because they're going to move. They're going to move the ball. They have a very effective offense, even without Mike Williams. You talk about Austin Eckler. He's great running back, great receiving running back. You have Keenan Allen. You have Gerald Everett, the tight end's a good tight end, and they got Justin Herbert. They're going to move the ball, and you can't be shocked when that happens. But when it gets into the red zone, if the Jaguars can force field goals and limit the effectiveness of Eckler and Keenan Allen and Herbert from putting it in the end zone, that's how you win this game tonight.
Yeah, if Eckler gets rolling, then
it's trouble.
You're gonna have a hard time stopping him, just because Herbert's got an arm that literally makes you defend every square inch of the field, and every week it's not like that. I mean, this guy is a special talent. He's got a unique arm. The last time they played him, he was banged up, so we didn't get to see the true Justin Herbert. Well, you watch this guy play after play on film, and he does things you just go, wow. And so hopefully tonight is not going to be a wow night.
So, guys, the first time around, they put Tyson Campbell on Mike Williams a bunch and really did a great job against him. He only had the 1 catch for 15 yards. It did go for the touchdown. Of course, Keenan Allen didn't play that game. Now it's a role reversal as Williams is out with an injury. Allen plays. How do you expect the Jags to deploy their coverage against Allen and the rest of these receivers?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they have Tyson Campbell travel with him. I don't think they will, because Keenan Allen will play a lot in the slot, Mike.
A lot.
I mean, that's where he's probably most effective, is in the slot. So that means he's going to get a lot of attention from Trey Herndon. And I think you have to, especially with Mike Williams being out, is you have to bracket and double Keenan Allen. And you should feel comfortable doing that in playing man other places. So I'd almost put Tyson Campbell man outside, let Darius Williams play man outside, and then bracket Keenan Allen and try to take him out of the game and see if someone else can beat you.
Yeah, I got asked this question earlier today, and my response was, because people said, hey, can you take Tyson Campbell and match him up against Keenan Allen since Mike Williams is out? And the answer is yeah, but if you start traveling somebody, you're giving away the coverage, essentially.
Well, and the other thing you do is you're putting Trey Herndon outside, Jeff.
And that's not where he's comfortable at. So I think the Jaguars are going to play the defense, Mike and Brian, that they've been playing. And if they can find a way to get some extra help, whether that's Cisco or Rayshawn kind of buzzing towards Keenan Allen, wherever he lines up, I think is the best way.
Last time out as well, you flip it around, and Joey Bosa goes out early in that game, and really the pass rush was non-existent for the Chargers. They only hit Trevor Lawrence twice, didn't sack him. How much of a bigger challenge is it tonight with those guys fully healthy?
It is a big challenge, and Joey Bosa had that groin injury early in that game in Week 3, and I think he's the best of the two. He's better than Khalil Mack. He's a better pass rusher. He's got better body control. He's got great hands. He's going to challenge whoever he goes against. And if Walker Little faces Joey Bosa, Walker Little's going to have his hands full. But I'm going to tell you, the Jaguars offensive line coach and their coaching staff, they're not stupid, okay? We're going to watch, I think, Chris Manhertz be on the field a lot in tonight's game and be helping the tackles so that the tight end, big tight end, can help. And then you're sliding away from that tight end, so you're kind of getting 3 on one side and 3 on another. And here's another way that you contend with a pass rush. You bloody their nose with the running game because the Chargers do not have a stout group in the middle. The defensive tackles are their weakness. They've got one good linebacker in Tranquil, but I think you can get after them and run the ball up the middle of the field.
No, I agree with Jeff. I mean, it'll be interesting because watching Bosa against the Rams 2 weeks ago, their 16th game of the year, it did not look like the rust was all off. I mean, he was not the dominating pass rusher that he has been during his career. It'll be interesting to see what level you get Bosa at tonight. I expect the best because of the playoffs. And Khalil Mack on the other side, really good player, but he's not a great player anymore. He's not a great pass rusher any longer. He's really down to a rip move.
He can have great moments,
but he's
not consistently.
And not taking over a game.
Right.
Bosa can take over a game. So I agree with Jeff. I think you got to run a lot of different things at him. You got to chip him. You got a tight end over there. Quick game, cut him early. And then the best thing you can do is run the ball. Stay out of long down distances, stay ahead of the chains, and force them to dig in there and be physical. Something I don't think this Chargers defense wants to do.
And I think that this game is about kind of that, bloodying the Chargers' nose, because the reality is they're not great at stopping the run. Okay, the reality is that they're one of the worst teams in the league. In fact, the worst team in yards per rush allowed. Their offense doesn't run the ball very well. So if there was ever a game that you'd like to maybe turn into a little physical match and kind of beat them up a little bit, this is the game right here.
All right, fellas, thanks so much. Have a great broadcast this evening, and enjoy it. These moments are special.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
All right, first round's on us is in the books, Wild Card Edition. And so is the first hour. JP Shadrick slides into this seat for hour 2 and 3, getting you set for kickoff. Mike, thanks so much.
Are you busy next weekend?
I am not. I'd like to come back.
Just throwing it out there.
All right. Mike Dempsey, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Reconnect with the best version of you at Amara Med Spa, Northeast Florida's premier luxury medical spa, located in Ponte Vedra, Town Center, Avondale, St. Augustine, and Fernandina. With the most advanced injectors, estheticians, and technology, Amara Med Spa is redefining beauty, offering services such as Botox and filler, M-Sculpt Neo, painless laser hair removal, and advanced skincare treatments. Visit theamaramedspa.com and book a complimentary consultation today.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field, because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bono's is currently expanding its brand with franchise opportunities throughout the Southeast and beyond. Over 70 years of authentic Southern pit barbecue and owning your own business are a great combo. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
As the official dentist of the Jacksonville Jaguars, ASAP Dental is a champion of the dental game. Let them win you over with full-service dental care and the same-day smile you deserve. Open 7 days a week, ASAP Dental has 8 locations to serve you in the Northeast Florida area. So come see them today. With their exceptional experience and care, you're always treated as the MVP. Visit asapdentalcare.com or call 904-500-2727 to book your appointment today.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues right now.
And it's hour 2 of the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. We are 2 hours away from an AFC wildcard playoff game. The 5th seed Los Angeles Chargers in as a wildcard team at 10-7. And the 4th seeded Jacksonville Jaguars in as the AFC South champs at 9-8. Kickoff at the bank coming up at 8:15. Tonight's game sponsored by Daly's. It's nicer here. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey. We're in the Jaguars Radio Network studio at TIAA Bank Field. Primetime playoff football. The Jags making their 8th playoff appearance all time and only the 5th all-time playoff game played in this stadium. The first time under the lights, and here we are in the playoffs finally.
Here we are. Finally. It's been a half decade, but for this football team, they've been through a lot this year. JP, last week was a playoff-type atmosphere, but it wasn't official like it will be tonight. So pretty amazing as Doug Peterson able to lead this team to the postseason in his first year at the helm. Trevor Lawrence and a lot of the players on this team who were here last year really turning around what happened in 2021. A lot of signs pointing in the right direction, but let's go take advantage of a playoff home game.
Here are some of tonight's top stories. We start with the must-win games in the playoff push, of course, but head coach Doug Peterson understands the intensity ramps up starting tonight.
Obviously this is a little different. The atmosphere will be different. The pace will be a bit different. The intensity will be a little different. I mean, it's just the way it is in the postseason. So I haven't seen a difference with the team, which is a good thing. We just gotta focus in on our jobs.
Quarterback Trevor Lawrence said the team was excited, obviously, to reach their goal of a division title and a playoff berth, but it was quickly back to work once they achieved that goal last week.
Since we came back, it's really just been next week, this week, moving on to the next week and focusing on the task at hand and realizing it's the same thought process this week to earn another opportunity next week. You just find a way to win, whatever it takes. This time of year, the games are going to be tight, games are going to be close, and you just got to find a way to win. And we understand that, and I think our team has really rallied around that idea of whatever play needs to be made, we're going to find a way just to win the game. And I think we've done a great job of that.
And they certainly did that last week, Mike. The defense got it done for them in the second half, the turnovers, and, of course, the score. Offense was having some issues finding consistency last week. Can't have that tonight. They've got to score some points.
No, you do have to score some points, but it's nice to see that you're capable of winning when you don't have your A game in every facet of the game, right? And look, the first time around, the Jags could almost do no wrong against the Chargers, but I think everybody believes that LA's offense is going to bring a lot more to the table tonight. So, look, I think the Jags are quite capable. They put up 38 the first time against them, and I get it. Bosa went out there, a lot of different things going on. We may not need 38, but they've shown that they're capable of going north of 30.
Wide receiver Zay Jones understands what's at stake, of course, moving on from here in the playoffs, and legacies are built upon the postseason.
The regular season is what it is in a healthy respect. Obviously you have to take care of business there in order to get to this moment, but here's where it matters. And if we want to keep creating the new narrative for this team and this city and be the new Jags team that we have set out to establish, it starts with a moment like this. And what an incredible opportunity that we have to show that and display that.
Second-year running back Travis Etienne Jr. making his first playoff appearance, of course, but this Jaguars team has had some must-win games down the last 5 weeks of the season.
I feel like the only difference is the title. It's a playoff game now. We've been in these situations where we had to win, or we wouldn't be here in this situation, and I feel like we're ready for that, we're prepared for that. And we all know what's at stake, so we got to go out there and just put our best foot forward and just play our best game and see what happens at the end.
All right, we talk about scoring points, Trevor throwing it around to those weapons on the outside, and Christian Kirk and Zay Jones and Marvin Jones Jr. and Ingram. They might have to run the football tonight because the Chargers finished, 28th in the league against the run.
Well, that's the book on the Chargers. That's what you do to beat them. Of course, the guy went for 100 yards against them and a 50-yard touchdown. Is no longer part of this mix, so there's got to be a lot on Travis Etienne's shoulders without James Robinson, who had 17 carries out of the 30 between the two. Look, Etienne's been over 20 carries 3 times this year. I fully expect, as long as this game doesn't get out of hand in a bad way, that he's going to go over that and may set a season high, a career high for carries in the National Football League. And if he's able to do that, it means he's probably effective and they're able to stick with it, and that's going to be a great sign for this offense.
The Jaguars' defense has come up big lately. Obviously, last week, the game-winning score from Josh Allen and his performance against the Titans earned him AFC Defensive Player of the Week honors, but the last month or so, he's been playing big, and he explains some of the reasons why.
Just being patient. I've always worked hard. It's just letting those opportunities come. I've been, dialed in with myself a little bit more. I've been talking to a lot with Todd Washington from the offensive line coach. He's somebody that I entrusted, and he's helped me out, to this point. But it's just, collective of everybody doing the right things, me working hard, I guess, and before and after practice, and doing what I need to do, and being where I need to be. And I knew when the moment comes, when the opportunity comes, if I keep at it, good things are going to come. And now got to keep on going.
Speaking of that big play defense, linebacker Foye Oluokun spoke about the mentality behind the group.
A lot of times things are going bad or not how we plan, but, it's football. Things don't always go as you plan. We come in halftime. I just love how everybody's calm, saying, is that our best football? No, we're still, a score down. Like, if we just start playing well, we can really flip this game, turn around. And then you just make one play and everybody feeds off of that confidence, and all of a sudden a bigger play comes from that, and then everybody just, flowing off of that. So it's really just the confidence to understand that, we can turn the game around while the game's still going on.
Well, this defense, Mike, they might give up some yardage here or there, but their bend, don't break mentality a lot of times has paid off, especially down the stretch run of the season. And then when it's mattered, they've come through with a big game-flipping play.
Well, that's the thing. Look, if you're turning teams over, you can get away with bend but don't break, okay? And they were early in the season when they played the Chargers. They have been later in the season. They went through that swoon in the middle of the year where they weren't doing that so much, and you saw the results. So, look, I'd rather have a don't bend and don't break defense, but I'll take an opportunistic one, which is what they are right now. And Foye Oluokun is going to be a key player in tonight's game. I mean, Austin Eckler has set a Chargers single-season reception record this year. He is as dangerous as anyone. He's been a touchdown machine for the last several years. They use him in the passing game, in the middle of the field, in the flats. He can go down the field on wheel routes. He can, of course, run the ball anywhere you like. And I think you're going to see Foye with a lot of tackle opportunities tonight.
Mike Caldwell understands that as well, the Jaguars' defensive coordinator on defending the Chargers running back.
When you have a running back that has over 100 catches, that says something about him. And he's a guy that they trust and they get the ball to a bunch. But I think it works well with him because outside you have to pay so much attention, and then that opens up for him and the tight ends underneath. But as a coordinator, you just go out there and you just try to understand where the matchups are and how they try to attack you and try to hone in on that and give a guy the good plan.
Well, last week the Jaguars crowd had a big hand in the game, and safety Rayshawn Jenkins expects the same again tonight from what should be a sold-out house.
Oh, I expect it to be crazier. And honestly, last game was probably the craziest game I played in as far as the crowd and everything. I was just crazy, electric. Duval, y'all impressed me, and we looking forward to the same thing this weekend.
Yeah, obviously that was an over-the-top experience last week in Week 18, I think, in the stadium. The way it went down, the way it was tight throughout, the way the Jaguars defense scored to win the game, and the celebration afterward. You can feel it obviously in town all week long. Anywhere you go, Mike, it's all Jacksonville Jaguars anywhere in this city.
True, and but last week you had, of course, the added bonus of having the most hated rival of your team coming in to add to that atmosphere, and the mission wasn't accomplished yet. Not that they're done now. They want to keep winning as many games as possible, but I think there was a lot more pressure on that game. I think the Jaguar fans showed up in a massive amount last week, JP. I think they'll do it again tonight. I'm going to see if tonight's atmosphere can match that when you don't have the blood rivalry of the Tennessee Titans on the line.
It better, because it's a playoff game.
I hear you. No, I hear you. But, I think that was a special set of circumstances. But you're right. There's no reason why this wouldn't be just as loud and raucous tonight with the playoffs on at hand.
Jaguars Game Day Radio is brought to you by ViStar Credit Union. Do good, bank better. Ian Eagle this week was named the National Sports Media Association's National Sportscaster of the Year, and he has the call of tonight's game nationally on Westwood One Radio. I asked him this week about the quarterback matchup tonight, and Herbert and Lawrence giving both the Chargers and Jaguars a chance in what should be an ultra-competitive decade ahead in the AFC at the quarterback position.
Yeah, and that's why you have to get it right. When you have a high pick in the draft and there are quarterbacks on the board, if you don't get it right, it can set your franchise back many years. The Jets are feeling this right now. The Chargers and Jacksonville are very confident in the picks that they made and the way that it's played out for 3 seasons in LA's case, 2 seasons in Jacksonville's case. Yeah, I think you're right. I think we might look back on this game many, many years from now and say, oh yeah, that was the first one, because there have been multiple over the course of the next decade. And I expect it, barring obviously any kind of serious injury for these two guys. They are more of the classic quarterbacks compared to guys that run and take big hits. Lamar Jackson, the one that's sitting this one out. We saw it with Philadelphia and Carson Wentz. It was a big hit that sent him to IR and allowed Nick Foles to emerge as the guy in Philadelphia to win the Super Bowl. Andrew Luck, whose career came to a shocking halt because I think he got concerned about his life after football. After all of those big hits, these two guys are more of the classic QBs. Doesn't mean they won't run. We've seen it with Trevor Lawrence. He'll run if necessary, and he doesn't mind dishing out some punishment if need be. But, the comparison is what, JP? It's always going to be the Brady and Manning incarnation and what came of that. That first playoff meeting, and then the fact that those guys were winning championships regularly between the two of them. I think that Trevor is really gifted, and he looks the part, he acts the part. We just needed to see him play the part, and now we've seen it. No longer is it theater of the mind. We've seen it. With Herbert, man, it was the first game, literally the first game he played in, when he had to step in for Tyrod Taylor at the very last moment against Kansas City, that we all saw, oh, whoa, that's what an NFL franchise quarterback is supposed to look like. Big, strong, ridiculous arm, composed. Nothing seems to rattle him. He's the prototype for what we're looking for at that position. The rocket arm, all the physical tools. And he's done everything that they hoped that he would do, and then some. He didn't have all his weapons this year. And here we are again, leading up to this game, not exactly sure what's going to happen with Mike Williams. So Herbert's dealt with it before, and he's just relentless in his pursuit of being the best guy doing this job in the NFL.
Ian Eagle with a call of the game on Westwood One Radio tonight. Also, of course, of CBS Sports. You can catch the full conversation on the official Jaguars Podcast Network or visit Jaguars.com and click the podcast link at the top of the homepage. More coming up in Countdown to Kickoff starting at 7 o'clock. And it does feel like this could be, all these AFC quarterbacks are young, and they're all first-round picks, and they're all not going anywhere for a long time. So this could be just the start of a decade's run worth of these big playoff matchups amongst this group.
Yeah, particularly for these two, though. They're taken a year apart in the NFL draft, and they are similar in terms of stature. And when you're talking about the prototypical franchise quarterback, they look like that guy. The irony is, of course, so many of the draft pundits and I guess some NFL teams felt like Justin Herbert was not enough of an alpha male to be the head of a franchise at the NFL level. Well, he's shown you that in spades. And, I think there are a lot of teams that even weren't in the quarterback market that are probably kicking themselves for not taking a longer look at him, particularly one that was in the Miami Dolphins who opted to go the Tua route.
We're about 30 minutes away from inactives. Up next, though, it's NBC analyst and Hall of Fame head coach Tony Dungy on the Jaguars' rise to the playoffs. It's an 8:15 kickoff time for the Chargers and the Jags in an AFC wildcard playoff game. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Your pet means the world to you, so Pet Paradise created a slice of paradise just for them. Pet Paradise is your complete pet health care destination with resort-style day camp, overnight boarding, professional grooming, and compassionate veterinary care from New Day, all located under one roof. Pet Paradise has over 50 locations to serve pet fanatics like you nationwide. Book today at petparadise.com, the official pet care provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Feeling hungry, Jaguars fans? Fuel your Duval energy with a delicious Stallmeyer all-beef hot dog on game day as you support your Jacksonville Jaguars. Whether you're at the game or at home, it's not game day without a Stallmeyer all-beef hot dog. Made in Florida, Stallmeyer all-beef hot dogs will fuel your energy to help bring on a victory for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Stallmeyer all-beef hot dogs are available at your local Publix supermarkets. Don't feel hungry, Jaguars fans. Fuel your energy with the official hot dog of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Stallmeyer. Hey, Jaguars fans, are you ready to talk some trash? Well, nobody talks trash quite like Waste Pro, the official waste service and recycling partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Specializing in residential and commercial solid waste and recycling collection, processing, and disposal, Waste Pro is equipped to handle all your recycling and garbage removal needs. For service, call 904-731-7288. Waste Pro, caring for communities and caring for Jacksonville.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
As the official dentist of the Jacksonville Jaguars, ASAP Dental is a champion of the dental game. Let them win you over with full-service dental care and the same-day smile you deserve. Open 7 days a week, ASAP Dental has 8 locations to serve you in the Northeast Florida area. So come see them today. With their exceptional experience and care, you're always treated as the MVP. Visit asapdentalcare.com or call 904-500-2727 to book your appointment today.
JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey. The Publix Tailgate Show continues. We're inside 2 hours from the AFC wildcard playoff game between the LA Chargers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. An 8:15 kickoff time at TIAA Bank Field. Tonight's game is sponsored by Daly's. It's nicer here. And, Mike, how about a look around the NFL on Super Wildcard Weekend?
It is Super, JP. We already have one game underway into the third quarter. We go in San Francisco, where the Seahawks have a 17-16 lead on the Niners right now. 49ers got out to a 10-0 lead in the first quarter. Robbie Gould with a 34-yard field goal. Christian McCaffrey, a 3-yard touchdown reception from Brock Purdy, who's thrown for nearly 200 yards already in this contest. McCaffrey's had 7 carries for 75 yards himself, but on the other side, Geno Smith struck back with a 50-yard touchdown to DK Metcalf. Kenneth Walker also has a rushing score, and it was a Jason Myers, the former Jaguar, 56-yard field goal right before the half that provided the lead to Seattle, but San Francisco is driving now deep in Seattle territory, so that one ongoing and will be wrapped up before we kick off here tonight. Of course, the San Francisco-Seattle game marks the third time that the NFC West rivals are meeting this season, but Every other playoff game, including Jacksonville and Los Angeles here, features a rematch between teams that met in this year's regular season. Tomorrow's slate at 1 p.m., the 9-8 Miami Dolphins are traveling to Buffalo to take on the 13-3 Bills with Tua Tagovailoa still in the concussion protocol. Backup quarterback Skylar Thompson will get the start for the Dolphins. Raheem Mostert also out for Miami. That could be significant. He had 17 carries for 136 yards just a few weeks ago against this very same Buffalo Bills defense. The two teams split a pair of games this year, but that was one with Tua was under center for Miami. The 4:30 game tomorrow in the NFC, the New York Giants at 9-7-1 are in Minnesota to take on the 13-4 Vikings. These two teams met 3 weeks ago with the Vikings coming away with a 3-point victory there. Then the nightcap tomorrow, Baltimore at 10-7 versus Cincinnati at 12-4 for the third time this year. Lamar Jackson still ailing. Tyler Huntley expected to start for the Ravens. He did get in a full practice on Friday. The AFC North rivals split a pair of games this year with the Bengals winning just last week to clinch the division. And then Monday night wraps up Super Wildcard Weekend. The 12-5 Dallas Cowboys in Tampa to take on the Buccaneers at 8-9, but as division winners, they get to host in the first round. The Cowboys fell to the Bucs 19-3 all the way back in week 1. How about this? Tom Brady 7-0 all-time versus Dallas. Of course, he has never faced them in the postseason. A couple other headlines from around the league following a spate of firings this week. We currently have 5 NFL teams in need of a full-time head coach. In the AFC South alone, Houston fired Lovie Smith after one season. Indy is deciding who will get the permanent job after Jeff Saturday, I guess, led the Colts to a 1-7 record in 8 games as the interim following Frank Reich's midseason firing. Nathaniel Hackett, the former Jags OC, gets let go after less than one season in Denver. Carolina and Arizona also have openings right now.
There's your look around the National Football League, and if you're looking for the MVP of the truck game, then look no further than Ford F-150, loaded with impressive capabilities and designed to dominate work, play, and everything in between. This truck makes tough look easy. Your local Ford dealer, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hall of Fame head coach Tony Dungy is the analyst for tonight's game on NBC Sports. And earlier this week, he joined Brian Sexton and John Oehser on Jags Drive Time to preview the game and was asked about the job Doug Peterson has done to get this team to the postseason.
Well, I have to tell you, I have a vote on the AP awards, and I voted for Doug for Coach of the Year because I think what he has done, I knew he would do well, and I knew he'd transfuse energy into this franchise and get them going, but I thought it would be a couple of years to really get it, and it clicked in after about 8 weeks. It's amazing. We had the Hall of Fame game for NBC. We were broadcasting, and I was down on the field before the game, just kind of watching, taking notes, and Josh Allen came up to me, and he said, "We are going to be on your show. We're going to be on Sunday Night Football by the end of the year. We're a good team. People don't know it, but I promise you we're going to be there." And we talked about that, and he was right. He said he could feel the energy. He thought Coach Peterson was the right person for them, and I felt that from everybody there. Guys were so excited that it was genuine, and they've done it.
Coach, I'm not sure how well you know Doug, but in working with you for the 7 or 8 years we worked together and then working with Doug, so many similarities to me in terms of approach, in terms of the calmness, in terms of keeping things in an even keel. I'm wondering if you know him that well and if you see some of those similarities.
I really do. I got to know Doug their Super Bowl year in Philadelphia. I was working for NBC. We had the game, and my assignment for the 2 weeks leading up to that was to track the Eagles and report on them. So I was in Philadelphia for a week, and I saw the same type of thing. I saw how the players talked about him. I saw their response to adversity. And that year, if you'll remember, Nick Foles had to take over for Carson Wentz. Wentz got hurt, and everybody said, "Oh, the season's over. We had a great run, but now it's not going to work." And none of the players felt that. Everyone felt Coach Peterson will figure this out. And that calmness and that sense of we're going to be okay, that's what he transmits.
Coach, this team has an incredible number of free agents that contribute for it. And when you were with the Colts, it was not a free agent-based team. But I'm wondering if you could speak to how difficult it is for a coach and for a team to come together the way this team has. All 3 wide receivers, or all 3 of their leading receivers, are new this year. Oluwakun's new this year. Brandon Sheriff's new this year. That's a lot to come together in one off season.
And that's why I voted for Doug for Coach of the Year, because that is a difficult task. Usually that's a 2 or 3 year process. But he's molded these guys. He's gotten them going and gotten them together, and it's fantastic. I actually had phone calls with the 2 coordinators yesterday and today, and both of them, Press and Mike Caldwell, talked about just how these guys have stepped in. And he also said something very interesting to me. He said, we didn't go after that big luminary, that $20 million star. We went after guys who were team players. We went after guys who were hard workers. We went after good teammates. And that's one thing, too, I think, evaluating who you want and who you're going to bring into the mix. And they brought some outstanding young people in there. I happen to know a lot about the Clemson program because I'm very close with Coach Sweeney and been around them. So when they drafted Trevor and Travis Etienne, there was no doubt in my mind the kind of people they were getting. And I think that's been the hallmark of this building process.
Coach, you had a team in Tampa that sort of came out of nowhere and I made the playoffs, and the city was electric, probably much the way Jacksonville is right now. What's Doug's task in getting this team to sort of thrive on that feeling but not have it overwhelm them? Is that a thing?
It really is, and you do want to build on that and build on that energy and emotion. I remember the year we made the playoffs in 1997 for the first time in Tampa, and our owners came over on that Monday and said, hey, we've got people buying tickets at the stadium. Do you want to go over and say hi to them? And we're going to pass out some donuts and juice. So I went over about 9 o'clock in the morning expecting to see a line of 25 people. The line was all the way around the stadium. and that's the kind of energy. And we saw it, we saw it Saturday in Jacksonville. And I just think it's going to be an outstanding atmosphere. You want to embrace that as Jaguars players and coaches. You want to know, hey, our town is behind us. Our fans are behind us. But you still have to say, this is football, and we've got to go out and just execute just like we do in the regular season. Yes, the stakes are higher. Yes, everybody's going to be energized. But you know what? We've got to do our jobs the same way and not get too high.
Coach, you have a long history of defense in the National Football League as a player and a coach. So I'm curious your impressions of Mike Caldwell and the job he's done this year. They've been challenged statistically in some categories, but they have 27 takeaways. And just like last Saturday night, they seem in the last month through this winning streak to have a knack to make the play that they need to. That's not something that's easy to coach, I'm sure.
I love how they're building it because it does remind me so much of my groups. It's a lot of high energy players out there playing with speed. I think they emphasize that speed and athleticism over size. They do emphasize the takeaways. And that's how Coach Caldwell believes you win games. And he's got his guys believing that now. So they expect to make those game-changing plays. And, yes, these offenses now in this day and age with the rules and with these quarterbacks you're playing, you're not going to shut people down. You're not holding people 180 yards in a game. Things are going to happen. But when you make the key plays, when you get to the third and long and you can get that sack, when you can get that forced fumble, that interception, that's what's going to turn the game around. Obviously, you look back at the first game against these two teams in week 3. Early interception, set the offense up, good field position, get the lead. That changes everything, and that's these guys' mindset.
Coach, you mentioned having a feel for Trevor before he came into the league. I'm just wondering your thoughts on him. You were with Peyton for a long time. I'm not asking you for a comparison there, but what kind of franchise quarterback can this kid be?
Very similar mindset. I see a lot of those same qualities. A guy who galvanizes his teammates. Everybody likes him. Everybody wants to be around him. But the thing that I think the biggest quality that Trevor and Peyton have is they hold themselves to a high standard. Trevor Lawrence wants to play well. When he makes mistakes, he takes it personally. So he's working hard. And when your quarterback is one of the hardest working players, then everybody else senses that. They get in the same mindset, and he can hold them to a high standard. So I do see a lot of similarities.
That is Tony Dungy, the Hall of Fame head coach and NBC analyst. Check out the official Jaguars podcast network. It's free on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you download podcasts. Also available on Jaguars.com. Just click the podcast link at the top of the homepage. Coming up, a look at the wild card weekend schedule ahead. We'll get the inactives coming up in a little bit. We've got a pregame huddle up with Bucky Brooks and John Oehser right around the corner as well. We're closing in on kickoff of the AFC wild card playoff game. The Chargers and the Jaguars coming up at 8:15. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
How far should we go? When it comes to the health of children, we will stop at nothing, focusing on prevention as much as cures. Working with community leaders, educators, policymakers, to make every child's world a place for them to thrive. Going to the nth degree and beyond. Nemours Children's Health, well beyond medicine. Join the journey at nemours.org/beyond.
Basketball is in full swing at the University of North Florida. Watch the Ospreys take on ASUN Conference opponents like Liberty, crosstown rival JU, Florida Gulf Coast, and more in the newly upgraded UNF Arena. Visit UNFOspreys.com for tickets and details. Exclusive experiences are available for groups of 10 or more. Go Ospreys and swoop!
Reconnect with the best version of you at Amara Med Spa, Northeast Florida's premier luxury medical spa, located in Ponte Vedra, Town Center, Avondale, St. Augustine, and Fernandina. With the most advanced injectors, estheticians, and technology, Amara Med Spa is redefining beauty, offering services such as Botox and filler, M-Sculpt Neo, painless laser hair removal, and advanced skincare treatments. Visit theamaramedspa.com and book a complimentary consultation today.
As the official dentist of the Jacksonville Jaguars, ASAP Dental is a champion of the dental game. Let them win you over with full-service dental care and the same-day smile you deserve. Open 7 days a week, ASAP Dental has 8 locations to serve you in the Northeast Florida area. So come see them today. With their exceptional experience and care, you're always treated as the MVP. Visit asapdentalcare.com or call 904-500-2727 to book your appointment today.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. It's an 8:15 kickoff time for the AFC wildcard playoff game. The LA Chargers finished the regular season 10-7. The Jacksonville Jaguars, AFC South champions at 9-8. Tonight's game is sponsored by Daly's. It's nicer here, and it's time to go to the broadcast booth and welcome in NFL Network analyst, Jaguars radio field analyst Bucky Brooks, and Jaguars.com senior writer John Oehser for a pregame huddle up podcast. Bundle up, gentlemen. It's a little chilly tonight. Good evening.
What's up? What's up, JP? How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good, Bucky, I think. How about yourself?
Well, I was doing great until I figured out how chilly it's going to be outside. And I know J.O. is going to be up top in the press box in the comfy confines dealing with all kinds of snacks and treats, and I'll be down there braving the conditions. But it's a little chilly, but it's fine. It's great to play in a primetime game.
I'm doing fantastic because right now I am as cold as I will be all night. So this is it's a great environment. And all kidding aside, I know we've talked about this team being in the wild card, this team being in the moment. It hit me as I look on the field tonight, and you've got the graphics up. It's night, it's prime time, and you have the NFL's wild card graphics up for the Jaguars in 2022. I mean, it's I know we've got used to it this week, but what a moment, guys.
Oh, yeah, it looks fantastic, John. We're looking at the live feed here, the in-house
really cool.
feed here. It really does as the fans start to trickle in here and got the teal end zones once again, and let's get a Jaguar W tonight. So, guys, let's talk about really the news, the late week news here with Mike Williams playing in what turned out to be an inconsequential game in the standings in Week 18. They said back spasms at first, and they said a contusion. Then we find out it's a fractured bone in his back that will keep him out for at least 2 to 3 weeks. Guys, he's the only receiver among the top ones on the LA Chargers that averages over 12 yards a catch, and he's over 14. Bucky and John, who replaces him as LA's deep threat?
Well, they have a few different guys who can step up and make plays. In the past, it had been Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer was kind of like the utility guy. He would step in when Mike Williams was out, when Keenan Allen was out. He was the guy that kind of became their number one. DeAndre Carter is another one who gives them speed and explosiveness. And so they still have guys that can give them a little pop, but it's not like what Mike Williams is on the outside. Mike Williams wins because he has superior size, leaping ability. He is the guy that Justin Herbert targets on those 50-50 balls down the boundary. And so without him, it makes Mike Caldwell's job a little easier when it comes to dealing with the top threats. And those threats will be, how do I handle Austin Eckler, and how do I want to deal with Keenan Allen? Now you have more body, so you can double team and do some different things that you wouldn't have been able to do if Mike Williams was playing.
Yeah, I think the great majority of injuries in the postseason, teams can handle one injury. But I was speaking to the Chargers beat writer for the LA Times early this week, and he sort of gave me a heads up. He said, hey, John, this Mike Williams thing, it doesn't feel like a spasm. And if he's out, it's a big deal. And I think this is one of those injuries that's hard to cover up because Justin Herbert's the kind of guy who, can beat you even when you're playing great defense. He's one of those quarterbacks. But it's harder for him to do that without Mike Williams in the game because, as Bucky said, he's the 50-50 guy. I think this is an injury that really, really matters and gives the Jaguars a huge edge tonight.
John Oehser and Bucky Brooks with us from the broadcast booth upstairs here at TIAA Bank Field. We all know the quarterback matchup, but the Jaguars on the ground, at least statistically in the regular season, feels like they should be able to make some hay tonight with Travis Etienne back there. The Chargers did not perform well against the run this season. New season now, of course. So, what's the balance tonight of this offense, Bucky?
They need to be able to run the football, and they ran the football effectively the first matchup. I want to say James Robinson was the effective runner. Travis Etienne kind of contributed, but they had success on the ground. And everyone who has tried to run the ball on the Chargers has had success. And so it has to be a part of the game plan. I don't know if it has to be the focal point. I think it'll be one of those situations where maybe you throw it early, but you get back to running the ball late. But it's an absolute advantage for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they got to take advantage of the liabilities that they have on the inside because they have not been good at defending the run.
Yeah, Mike Duraco, the Jaguars guy for ESPN, of course a major part of Mike Dempsey's show during the week, he threw out a stat this week, today I think, where the Chargers really struggle against runs outside the tackle, and that's where Etienne's at his best. Now, I'm sure the Chargers know that. I'm sure they'll be looking at that, and it'll be a major focus. But I think that, again, it's a huge thing for the Jaguars. To me, if Etienne doesn't have close to 100 with a couple of breakaway runs, I think that hurts the Jaguars offensively. I think they need to show that. I think if it's going to be an explosive game with 30, 35 points for each team, I think for the Jaguars to get to that number, I think Etienne has to have the kind of game I just described.
And really, when you talk about running backs here, Austin Eckler might be the most dangerous playmaker in this game, period. Mysteriously, I mean, look, I get it. The Jags ultimately won by a bunch, but it was a scoreless game going to the second quarter, and that's a game Austin Eckler only got 4 carries for 5 yards in. It was very odd when you look back at it. Going to expect a much heavier dose of him tonight, guys. How well are the Jags suited to deal with Austin Eckler?
I don't know if we're going to see a heavier dose. Like, he'll get maybe more attempts than he had that first game. But the Chargers are not a team that likes to run the football. Like, every time you hear Brandon Staley talk about his team, he talks about their superstar quarterback, and I'm giving you the air quotes because he talks about it over and over and over again. They are one that want to put the ball in Justin Herbert's hands, and they want to ride or die with him. The thing that you have to be aware of when it comes to Austin Eckler is deception, misdirection. So the deception comes in the screen game, comes in the passing game where they kind of move him around and do some funny things, and then draws and delays. Obvious passing downs, they slip it to him and those things. But he's a smaller back. He's not a pounder. They don't have a grinded-out mentality, which has hurt them in the red zone. You just got to make sure you keep him on the wraps, but you can't let Austin Eckler have a huge game on the ground.
Bucky. Expand on something if you can, Bucky, because you said something on the Huddle Up podcast on Wednesday that was interesting to me, that Eckler's really good in the screen game, and the Jaguars have struggled against the screen. But you also made the point that they've struggled against the screen because it's been sort of an unexpected element, whereas you're watching for a guy like Eckler tonight. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I think in the past, when you're playing the Tennessee Titans and Derrick Henry, you're willing to concede the screen because your number one focus is stopping him as a runner. Well, now, because Austin Eckler has been so proficient and so productive in the passing game, you're talking about that. It's a point of emphasis because if you think about this in the playoffs, like when they read the scouting report on Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever they come together, they talk about who are the guys that we have to stop.
Got to stop Eckler.
Austin Eckler is at the top of the list. It's Austin Eckler, then maybe Keenan Allen, and then you talk about the quarterback. But those are the two guys, and if you really want to bet money, you'll allow Keenan Allen to have a big game. You'll put your emphasis on making sure that Austin Eckler doesn't leak out and have an explosive game as a runner or receiver.
All right, guys. Trevor Lawrence's performance the last few weeks, for different reasons, maybe is not kind of somewhat pedestrian, I'd say, through the air statistically. The weather in New York, the situation in Houston, and then last week they just had some issues in the air against the Titans. So, hey, this is the one he's got to button it up. Bucky, how does he get it done tonight through the air?
Oh, I think they get it done by spreading it out and doing what they've always done, making sure that you give him plenty of wide open looks, some empty formations, and then you figure out which guy is going to be the hot guy. One of the things that the Chargers do well is they do a great job of playing what I call umbrella coverage. They're not going to allow you to throw it over their head. They will allow you to dink and dunk. Well, that plays into the Jaguars' approach because that's how Doug Peterson likes to run the offense. So I think we'll see a more efficient and effective Trevor Lawrence, but this game is going to be decided by both teams' red zone efficiency. Which team scores touchdowns and which team is forced to settle for field goals, that's where it is because the Chargers move the ball up and down the field, but they've also struggled in the red zone the same way for the Jaguars. And so that's where the running game has to come into play because if you can run the ball in the red zone, it then forces the defense to play those different coverages as opposed to the umbrella they want to play inside the 20.
Yeah, I don't worry about it, JP. I think you're right. I think it's key for Trevor to have a good game tonight, a big game. But I also think the reasons that he hasn't are legitimate. I don't think Doug Peterson in the last 3 weeks has gone into those games thinking this kid has to have a huge game. We don't have to have a huge game passing. I think the mentality tonight is very opposite. I think Doug knows the passing offense needs to be going, Trevor needs to be going, and Bucky's exactly right. Red zone scoring the whole key tonight.
Guys, quick thought on special teams, which were outstanding last week. We saw Jamal Agnew take several kickoffs out of the end zone. Maybe that in the regular season or the earlier part of the regular season, he would have taken a knee. Do you expect him to continue to be aggressive in that department?
I think so because the Jaguars feel like they have an advantage with him. Look, he's an all-pro returner. He's been at that level in the past, and so you want to give him opportunities to make plays. And more importantly, he's one of their most productive players when it comes to delivering explosives. So anytime you can get the ball in his hands, you want to let him go. And so I expect him to be a major factor in this game.
Yeah, I think he needs to be. It feels like a night of big plays. I think a couple of them will come from ETN. The above the X's and O's type of big play is what you can get on special teams. And I think the Jaguars do have an advantage there with Agnew.
All right, one quick final thought here. The coaching difference in experience in the playoffs. Doug Peterson's been down this road before a couple of times, obviously, in Philly. Brandon Staley has not. Does that matter tonight?
Yes, and it might be the deciding factor. And listening to Brandon Staley talk, he talked about being a kid, living for these moments, dreaming about being in the playoffs and all of these things. Well, I can tell you, not only does the game get big for the players, it gets big for the coaches. Doug Peterson has been in a ton of games in the postseason, not only as a head coach, but as an assistant. And so when the game changes and it speeds up and the emotional ebbs and flows that come along with playing in a playoff game, he's kind of been through that. Brandon Staley has not. Now, another part of this is Brandon Staley is a bit on the hot seat because there are a lot of people that question the way that he goes about it. And there's some people that would say that he might be coaching for his job if this team underachieves. A lot of pressure on Brandon Staley. We'll see if that influences some of the decisions that he makes in this game.
Yeah, guys, young team on both sides, young quarterback on both sides, experienced head coach versus basically rookie head coach in the playoffs. That's the one area the Jags have a big edge.
That's John Oehser and Bucky Brooks. Enjoy the game, guys, and stay warm on the field, Buck.
Hey, man, thank you.
It's Bucky Brooks on the sideline, John Oehser in the press box tonight. The Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks show Wednesday at 4 o'clock on Jaguars.com and the Jaguars social channels, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And Jaguars Game Day Radio is brought to you by ViStar Credit Union. Do good, bank better. We're coming up on Countdown to Kickoff. That starts at 7 o'clock on the Jaguars Radio Network. We'll return with the inactives, and we'll go back to the broadcast booth with Frank Frangie. The Chargers and the Jaguars ready for an AFC wildcard playoff game with an 8:15 kickoff time. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Brooks Rehabilitation has more than 50 years of experience serving the North Florida community with cutting-edge rehabilitation care, ranging from joint replacements, sports injuries, and balance issues, to traumatic brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, and strokes. Their highly trained clinical teams span across their system of care to include inpatient, outpatient, skilled nursing, assisted living and memory care, home health, and adaptive community programs. Learn more at brooksrehab.org. Brooks is proud to be the rehabilitation provider for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Travel Camp RV, official RV dealer of the Jacksonville Jaguars, invites you to come shop their huge selection of inventory for your dream RV. With locations across the Southeast, you're sure to find them close by. Get value pricing on the top RV brands in the country, paired with the guaranteed best financing options available. You can also shop their inventory at travelcamp.com. Travel Camp RV has helped more families make more great memories in an RV since 1982. They're excited to add you to the Travel Camp RV family today.
Reconnect with the best version of you at Amara Med Spa, Northeast Florida's premier luxury medical spa, located in Ponte Vedra, Town Center, Avondale, St. Augustine, and Fernandina. With the most advanced injectors, estheticians, and technology, Amara Med Spa is redefining beauty, offering services such as Botox and filler, M-Sculpt Neo, painless laser hair removal, and advanced skincare treatments. Visit theamaramedspa.com and book a complimentary consultation today.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
As the official dentist of the Jacksonville Jaguars, ASAP Dental is a champion of the dental game. Let them win you over with full-service dental care and the same-day smile you deserve. Open 7 days a week, ASAP Dental has 8 locations to serve you in the Northeast Florida area. So come see them today. With their exceptional experience and care, you're always treated as the MVP. Visit asapdentalcare.com or call 904-500-2727 to book your appointment today.
This is the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from TIAA Bank Field. Tonight's kickoff time, 8:15 for an AFC wildcard playoff game. The LA Chargers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Tonight's game is sponsored by Dailies. It's nicer here. Let's get to the inactives. They've been announced. The Jaguars have 5 players down for tonight's game, the same 5 as in last week's regular season finale. Wide receiver Kendrick Pryor is out. Rookie cornerback Monteric Brown will not play. Greg Jr., cornerback, out, a rookie. Deshaun Dixon, outside linebacker, inactive again. And defensive lineman Jeremiah Ledbetter is out. Those are the 5 down for the Jags. Game day elevation from the practice squad for offensive lineman Coy Cronk. He is available tonight.
Well, for the Chargers, there are 7 names here. Of course, the big one that we're well aware of, Mike Williams with the back injury, unavailable to play in this game. Quarterback Easton Stick, running back Isaiah Spiller, offensive tackle Storm Norton, tight end Stone Smart, and a pair of players on defense, defensive lineman Tyler Davison and safety J.T. Woods. The 7 Chargers unavailable tonight.
The inactives are in for the AFC wildcard playoff game. Chargers, Jaguars under the lights at the bank. Should be a sellout crowd. Should be a wild one. Frank Frangie is in the broadcast booth joining us now with a nice overview of what's happening in the Stadium Bowl beginning to fill in. Frank, the energy is starting to rise for this one. Has been building all week long.
Yeah, it really has. Hello, JP, and to you and Mike. And yes, I agree with you. It's felt the same as it did last week. I wondered if it would feel the same because there was such a build-up, but it has because it's a night game again. It's 8:15 again. It's a home game again. I almost think, JP, in a weird sort of way, it was a good dress rehearsal for these Jags, maybe to get the jitters out of the way a little bit, but it's going to be rocking this place. It was so much fun last week, and we're about to have a sequel. I really believe that.
Yeah, Frank, not just the jitters of playing in front of a big crowd or playing an important game, but that game last week, it ends your season like this one could, but it prevents you from having a winning record if you lose. You lose to your division rival, snaps your winning streak. There's so many things. I felt like the players played a little bit tight early on in that contest. I don't think that's going to be the case tonight.
I agree on everything you said. Number one, I thought they did too. And I think Doug Peterson would tell you that too, Mike, that they were a little bit tight early on, and it's a little bit different. But like you said, it's still the one thing that is the same is lose and your season's over. You're playing golf on Wednesday. So, but I agree with you. I think they will not be jittery today. It's also a different kind of game, Mike. It's a game that you knew that game could be slow and kind of trudging a little bit, and it played out that way because that's how the Titans play. Not tonight. I think both teams are going to have to go up and down the field a little bit. I think the Jaguars know that, so I think it'll be a little bit of a different Jaguars team.
Well, both teams have the quarterbacks to go handle that as well, Frank. And Herbert versus Lawrence, we saw it earlier in the season. Herbert had the rib issue, or the rib cartilage issue back in week 3. But this feels like just the beginning of what could be a decade at least of some postseason battles between these two and then obviously the other quarterbacks in the AFC.
Isn't it neat? I mean, I know everyone's talked about it, JP, all week long, so it's not news, but the three of us together haven't. How identical these two quarterbacks are. They're one thrown 25 touchdowns and 10 picks. That's Herbert. The other one 25 and 8. That's Trevor. They're so close. They're both 6'6". They're both about 230. One's 24 years old. One's 23 years old. They got the hair. They got the feel. I mean, it's amazing how similar these guys are. And look, whichever guy wins today is going to have, in the minds of the national media, a leg up. So this is an important – I don't know if that matters, but I think that's the way everyone's going to talk about this game. And I do think the ball's in the air a bunch tonight, JP. I really do.
Well, Frank, let's talk about that then, because I think everybody expects Travis Etienne to need to have a successful performance tonight. So putting him aside, and let's hope that he does, the Chargers are really good against slot receivers. Zay Jones was the leading receiver the last time they played. Who is the guy that you think is Trevor's go-to tonight?
Yeah, 2 things. Number one, you're right about Travis Etienne. Obviously, we all know the Chargers are one of the worst run defenses in the league, so they're going to have to run the ball some. But in terms of throwing the football, I see a few balls over the top. It might be Zay Jones, Mike, because I think you're going to have to throw the ball over the top a little bit. Like you said, the Chargers are very good at intermediate routes. Their linebackers are good. Derwin James, no telling what he can do whatever they want him to do. So I think you might see the ball over the top a time or two today. So if there's one guy, every now and then, about every third or fourth game, Zay Jones comes up with that ridiculously big game, right? I would not be surprised if this is the one for Zay Jones, and I would not be surprised to see some balls over the top, Mike. I think this is that kind of game where you gotta test them vertically a little bit.
Yeah, they've kind of rotated those big games around at the wide receiver position this year. And if they're going to throw it up, obviously the tackles have to hold up against the pass rushers, Frank. Big moment for Walker Little. Not quite Baselli Bruce Smith. Let's not go that far. But, hey, for him, he came in middle of the season to take this gig after Cam Robinson was injured. And this is a spotlight game for him.
You know what, JP? There's no question. Both he and Taylor, really, because Khalil Mack's not what he once was, but he's still a damn good player, and obviously Bosa is a terrific player. You know what, though? You know what's going to factor in here, I'll bet, too? Doug Peterson is so good at game planning and play calling to protect areas that could be weak areas. And I'm not saying Walker Little or Jawan Taylor are weak areas, but they're certainly going up against superstar players. And Doug is so good. I think you're going to see some quick game, some balls thrown out in the flat. I think he's going to get the ball out of Trevor's hands quickly a time or two. That's one thing I've noticed about him, JP, is he finds a way to protect areas of concern with his play calling, and I would expect that tonight as well.
Frank, enjoy it. Bundle up there.
Yeah.
It's going to be in the high 30s by the end of the game, and let's bring home a W and watch some football tomorrow.
Yeah, let's do this again on a cool night. Thanks, guys.
Frank Frangie from the broadcast booth upstairs. The Jaguars and the Chargers coming up, and the anticipation building, of course. The parking lots are jam-packed. The traffic to get down here tonight, just like it was last week, is intense, let's say. So keep it between the lines getting down here. If you're not down here already, hey, you're going to have some issues.
You started too late.
You might have. But this is what it's all about. Only the 5th home playoff game in Jaguars history tonight.
You got to love it, JP. And it's not just like, oh, wow, this came out of nowhere, right? I mean, it did a little bit the way the season started.
Right.
But now that you're here at the end of the year, you're like, you don't have to question, is this sustainable? Doesn't mean they're going to make the playoffs every single year, but it's definitely sustainable. You've got the head coach quarterback combination that can lead you for a long, long time to a lot of success. It's the most important combination you can have in the NFL.
And just like John and Bucky were talking about a little bit ago, the difference in coaching experience could be huge tonight. In a play-calling moment, in a key part of this game, Doug Peterson's pushed that button before.
I think it's the biggest edge that the Jags have in this game tonight is Doug Peterson versus Brandon Staley. Not that Brandon Staley can be a bad coach, but Doug Peterson's seen it all, been there, been to this moment, and has known how to handle it, and he's got a few tricks up his sleeve, I am sure.
So the Jaguars trying to get it done at home tonight against the L.A. Chargers. These teams met back in Week 3, of course. The Jaguars blasted L.A. at SoFi Stadium. 38-10 was the final score. Herbert was banged up that day. Keenan Allen did not play in the game. Mike Williams did play. Joey Bosa was hurt early in the game and did not return and missed a lot of the season after that ball game. That is a long, long time ago. Back in September. It is now mid-January, and it's the AFC Wild Card Playoff game coming up. It's countdown to kickoff on the Jaguars radio network. It's an 8:15 kickoff time. The Chargers and the Jaguars coming up at 8:15 in the Wild Card Playoff, and this has been the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.